Begin this morning's program with a ceremonial flag raised by the 436th Regiment Honor Guard, followed by a Christian hymn, and then the invocation by Reverend Sarah Kennedy, also one of our teachers here at thanking you and praise you for this day. Lord, we thank you for many things. But most of all, we thank you today for this dedicatory service to your community,
task that lies ahead. We know that there are many. We ask in Jesus' name that you will prepare us for those challenges, those that we don't know about, but help us with those that we are aware of, so that we might be able to be worthy of your honor and your praise today. We thank you for all things, and we ask that you bless the families that are represented here. Bless the heads of state, the governor, and the leaders, the visionaries of this community that brought this building to fruition. We thank you for them, and we ask blessings upon them, and that they may continue to see where the needs are in this community, and that we may be able to bind ourselves together in love and harmony from this day forth and always. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Eric. I'd like to begin by introducing some people that are here today and recognizing those up in the front first and letting them put some names with some faces, beginning with our school board. First of all, our board president, Mr. Dwight Meyer. Mr. Cliff Coleman, school board member. Mr. Jimmy Cook, school board member. And Mr. Chuck White, school board member. And Connie, you're on the end. Mrs. Connie Wally, vice president of the board. Also introducing our superintendent, Dr. David Robinson. And the gentleman who started this project, our former immediate past superintendent, Dr. William Buck. Also, the superintendent just prior to Dr. Bach, and someone we'll be recognizing a little later this afternoon, and that's former superintendent Dr. Admiral Postily. And very talented private Postily. Also with us up front is Mr. Vic Valesky, our Director of Business and Finance, who is the man who got the job done. And the first principal of Fred Fifer Middle School, Dave Seckler. And Assistant Principal Susan Whittaker. Also up front, we'd like to recognize Mrs. Dottie Madden, who is the project manager for the construction of this school. She's representing Healing Nation. Also, the people who are responsible for designing this beautiful school, the Ray Group Incorporated from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and they're represented by Mr. Mike Patton, president of the Ray Group. And the gentleman who actually designed the schools, Don Swift. We also have some people out among you who I'd like to recognize, and among those is Jerry Buckworth, who's hiding there, Representative Buckworth, who represents several different roles as a former principal on this site, as well as a representative who contributed some funding to help pull off some of the work with the streets and those kind of things. Jerry, we appreciate all of your work in that regard. We also have some other people. I mentioned Jerry was a former principal of Cedar Riding Junior High on this site. But also there are several other people who serve in that capacity, so it's great to see them come back. And that was the first principal of Cedar Riding Junior High, which this school replaced, was Frank Wood. Thanks for joining us. Thanks. And the gentleman who followed him in that role was Ken Roberts. I see that Ken is also. As I mentioned, Jerry is one of the principals, and he followed Ken Roberts, so it's great to have him back again. And I followed Jerry, and following me was Ernestine Adams. I'm not sure if Ernestine is here. Ernestine? Ernestine was the last principal of Cedar Riding Junior High. And then, of course, I've already mentioned Dave Seckler, who's the first principal of Fifer Middle School. Also among us is immediate past assistant superintendent, Mr. Jim Hay.
Also, Bruce Walton, I noticed, was sitting among us before. We also have some people here representing the Roundtable Club of Camden, and I'd like to recognize them. They have contributed some holly trees to be planted on site as soon as we're done with all the earthing. We'd like to recognize them and their contribution. From the Roundtable Club, we have Mrs. Betty Bill, Dean Gordon, and Mary Lou Wood. And I'd also like to thank and recognize Mr. Larry Bolger of On the Wings of Love, who will take the time to join us today, and he will be releasing some ceremonial gloves at the end of the program. At this time, I'd like to introduce our board president for some greetings, Mr. Gleitmeyer.
Good afternoon. It gives me great pleasure on behalf of the Board of Education to welcome all you folks today. It's great to get all the friends of Cedar Rodney School District together in this momentous occasion. The former board members have been already introduced, but I would like to mention that the names for the two new middle schools, the idea for naming these schools did come from former board members, and there was a group of about 25 former board members, which is a real vote of solidarity for our school district that we name these schools in honor of the people that we're naming them from. I would like to make one other comment, if I could. There is one person that I would like to recognize, a special person I'd like to recognize today. It's a person with great vision who spent a good deal of time here with our district. He is a person who talked to the boards, prodded the boards, and said, you know, we can either follow, or we can go the status quo, or we can be leaders. To be a leader, we have to boldly make new steps. And one thing that we did do, as you know, we left the concept of the junior high school setting, and we went to the middle school setting. And to build two new middle schools is quite a step with our state legislature. And I would just like to personally thank Dr. William J. Bach for being the spark that inspired what you see here today. Dr. Bach, thank you. Now I'd like to introduce to you Vic Valesky. He's the Director of Business Affairs for the district. Vic.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer. I was asked to talk just a few minutes about what really went into this building as far as planning, design, and construction. And as I start to think back about when we started this project, one thing I think about today is, boy, I'm glad we're here. Really, the planning for this building started over 8 years ago. And there was a vision, as Mr. Meyer said, with Dr. Bach and the former board, the board members at that time, about building two new middle schools instead of one junior high school. I remember a very lively debate that occurred in our boardroom with representatives from the Department of Education about the merits of building two new middle schools. And from that, we proceeded to a referendum that was supported by a number of community members. And Mr. Charlie Pardee was instrumental in gaining public support for that referendum, as well as a number of other business people in this community that supported that concept. The referendum passed, and we moved on to planning for the buildings, and we had to select an architect. Over 30 architects were interviewed for these projects, and after a number of interviews and on-site evaluations with a number of people, it was the hands-down favorite, the Ray Group, was going to be the architect that was going to represent the vision of the district to construct these buildings. And then it was Don Searle's job to take the concept the district had, put it on paper that could be constructed by a contractor. And I think as you walk through this building today, you're going to see some very unique and innovative ideas that have been incorporated in the design of this building, which is really a trademark of the Ray Group. Healy Management Services provided the construction for this building, and one person who I saw standing over here, Mr. Michael Healy, who's president of the Healy Management Services, kind of snuck in, and he's standing back here on the side. Michael, will you identify yourself? He was the principal for me. Also, one other person that I want to recognize is Mr. Donald Carey, if he would stand, because he was the project superintendent, but retired, how many months ago, Donald? Into July. Retired during the project, so.
Thank you for the recognition.
But we finally brought these projects together. The last business day before school was to be opened at 5 o'clock, we met in this very building with the town of Camden to get the occupancy permit for children to attend school on September 7th. That was the first time in a long time I slept all the way through the night. Just a few parting comments. We had such a good relationship with both the architect, their representatives, the general contractor, Healy, and all of their representatives. There were a number of people that were involved in this project that without that cooperation, without all of that, the mutual goal that we were to obtain, simply wouldn't happen. And I have to thank both Healy and the Ray Group for all the hard work they did to get us to where we are today. Thank you.
It's designed for what it's supposed to be. Those of us involved with middle schools can tell you that this is a rare thing indeed. In fact, this is only one of two schools, or one of only two schools that I know of in Delaware that were specifically designed to function as middle schools. And we're going to visit the other one at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Although we are officially dedicating the school today, you all know that we've actually been in operation for just over 2 months. I'm happy to report that this school does in fact function very well for its intended purpose. Here are a few things you might want to look for as you walk through the building after the ceremony. The Handbook for Middle Level Education in Delaware states that students should be members of smaller, heterogeneous learning communities within the larger school, a phrase I know some of these folks know very well. Fifer is designed to promote these smaller learning communities on several levels. First, each grade has its separate hallway, and both academic teams for a given grade are on that hallway. This allows each grade to develop its own personality and its identity. Students and teachers in each grade see each other frequently, work together on a range of projects and activities. Students and teachers from the two teams get to know each other simply by passing and greeting each other often. There's also a security issue here. After the initial weeks of school, everyone knows everyone else, and an unfamiliar face means that someone is not where he or she is supposed to be. I'm pleased to report that so far we've intercepted only a few legitimate visitors and the occasional student who took a wrong turn. The Handbook for Middle Level Education also states that students are best served by teams of teachers who share the same students and who work together on instructional projects. Many middle schools have organized such teams, but typically the physical arrangement of rooms does not facilitate team members' efforts to work together. Most frequently, middle schools are located in old high schools to become available space when new state-of-the-art high schools are built. The typical middle school principal then faces the question, how do I fit a school organized around teams into a school building that was built with academic departments in mind? The almost universal answer, you don't. As a principal looks for places to locate 4-person academic teams, he or she will find one hallway with 3 classrooms, another with 7, and there will always be at least one team who has classrooms not only on a separate hall, but in a separate floor or even in a separate building. The science classes, of course, are hopeless. They're always located all together in some hallway, completely separated from those of the other locations of the other 3 members of the team. Here at Fifer, however, we are able to assign all 4 team members to adjacent classrooms. If a teacher needs to see another member of the teaching team, that teacher need only go next door or across the hall. Bits of team planning and coordination can be done while supervising students during class changes. Team conferences and more in-depth team planning can be done in each team's conference room. Most importantly, however, all of these things that benefit teachers ultimately result in better instruction for students. Over all of this, we have the larger learning community that is Fifer Middle School as a whole. Students from all grades see each other as they move to their classes on the Essential Arts Wing. Students come together to socialize at our dances and to participate in or to support our sports teams and our cheerleaders. And our Student Council and Honor Society are working on a whole range of school-wide projects to further bring our student body together. We have great plans. We are at the starting point. We are going to preserve some significant articles from this time in the time capsule that will be placed behind our date stone, and you will see some of those articles in the library as you tour the school. Those things will show the CR citizens of the future who we are now. Those things will fix us in time. And no doubt, in 100 years or so, our Dell computers will seem as quaint as quill pens. And students will wonder, at that time, how the students of 1999 used large sacks strapped to their backs to carry around heavy books that containing far less information than the students of 2099 will carry around in pocket-sized computers.
And finally, getting colder.
Our focus is on the future, but our work will be done today and every day. It's a wonderful place you've created here. It's beautiful on the outside and highly functional on the inside. We are only just beginning our work, but I will guarantee you that years from now, you will look back at what we've done and smile, gratified that you have gotten what you paid for, and then some. Thank you.
Serving solely 7th and 8th grade students. However, it was as early as 1959 that the connotation junior high came into existence, as Everett Farr was appointed the first principal of the junior high students. Others who hold the principal's post, and Harry already mentioned these, but we did leave out one, Dr. Archie Jordan. Archie, stand up over there. And Archie's also assistant superintendent. Frank Wolf, Norman Zimmerman, Kenneth Roberts, Cheryl Duckworth, and Harold Roberts. Vision for the future that spoke of in the historical perspective continues today. And just in fact, from the history of the beginning of the school district, changes were made to meet the needs of the community and the educational program. As mentioned earlier, we started this vision in the early 1990s, actually 1993, with a referendum and a planning grant for the Soap School, which was located adjacent to Cedar Island Junior High School. That was a successful referendum, and along with that was a planning grant for the junior high. At that time, there was talk of perhaps renovating the junior high, but because of the cost of the renovations, that could not be done. And so in 1996, a referendum was held to build Fifer Middle School, at that time just a middle school, on this side of the highway, another middle school on the eastern side of the highway, as they become known, Fifer and Westlake Middle Schools. So that referendum passed, and in 1996, we had our groundbreaking in July of 1998. We're here on this historic occasion today. In 1999, we also faced considerations for the future. We will have a referendum in approximately 2 weeks to decide on building a new Cedar Rodney High School, actually renovating old Cedar Rodney High School, making a new Cedar Rodney High School, and also Star Hill and air conditioning, Freer and Simpson, and a planning grant for the McIlvain area. And just as in times past, in times future, we need to think to the future and building for the new millennium and moving ahead, and I would appreciate your support on November the 23rd. Building of the facilities. It's been touched on in terms of building for the facilities, and I became superintendent just about the time we had the groundbreaking. And Dr. Harry Roberts has been involved with Dr. Bach and many faculty members in terms of planning the facility, and that was reduced to paper with the Ray Group and Don Searles. But I kind of grabbed the tiger by the tail in terms of we're going to have the groundbreaking on July the 13th, and we are going to open school in September of 1999. Very aggressive schedule, and being the good leader that I am, I immediately turned that responsibility over to Harry Roberts and Vic Gillespie. And since they knew what was going on, they were charged with that responsibility, and a great credit to both of those gentlemen. Vic on the construction side, who dealt with those problems daily, Harry on the curriculum and staffing side. We had to reconfigure our district, and both of those gentlemen really deserve the credit, and in their honor, a plaque will be placed in the high school, in the middle school offices, and in their honor, recognizing their great contributions to the project. The Ray Group, as mentioned previous, were very significant in the role that they played, and especially Mr. Jim Cripp, who's not here, the construction foreman, who kept everyone on task throughout the 13 months of the project.
and Healy Management with the leadership of Dottie Matter and Don Terry mentioned, and Steve Billy picked up the role for Don when Don retired. So those people greatly need to be recognized for the work that they did. The significance in naming the building in memory of Fred Fifer III really speaks to the community and the relationship of the community with Cesar Rodney School District. And Fred's father served on the school board, and Fred himself held no major role, but the Fifer family and Fred, with their community values, with the marriage of the community and school in this district that has been very strong, the tribute to the Fifer family is in part a greater recognition to the values of the district that were well established by many of those in our community that have served in this area for long periods of time. And over the years, we've transitionalized to a broader community with many people coming and going and new people coming in every day. But we still, in the Cesar Rodney School District, have roots in our traditional community values. And to me, the significance here is that we recognize the community relationships to schools, we recognize a great family, the Fifer family, and we recognize a great individual, Mr. Fred Fifer III. It's certainly my pleasure to introduce to you a very unique woman who is the wife of the late Fred Fifer, Mary Catherine Fifer, to make remarks on behalf of the honoree. Mary Catherine.
It was without hypocrisy or self-importance that made him a special, wonderful husband, father, son, brother, mother-in-law, husband, friend that he was. So, with all of that, you can imagine how gratifying it is to those of us who miss his physical presence the most, to know that the community that he loved so much and in which he lived all his life has also seen and honors his greatness. As we are here today to dedicate this lovely building and bear his name. Through the auspices of the Cesar Rodney School Board, an honor has been given to him that few men receive. We are truly grateful for the esteem you have accorded to our loved ones by giving this lasting tribute to who he was, what he meant to this community. And we thank you. It is our prayer that this school will be the kind of place that not only teach, but also nurture the young people of today for many years to come. May God bless you all, and I ask a special blessing on this school and this community.
Thank you, Mary Catherine. The district is privileged to have the Fifer family as major supporters of our community, and we appreciate your remarks this morning. I would be remiss if I did not recognize the Fifer Middle School 8th grade band, directed by Mrs. Vanessa Taylor. Archie, I'm sorry I missed that. I didn't see a slip in a little earlier there, but Archie was the last principal of Cesar Rodney High School on this site. Is that correct? We're going to conclude in just a few minutes with the releasing of the doves. And after that, we invite everyone to tour the building. Members of the Student Council and Honor Society will be available to help show you around the building. Just to give you a quick layout, as you go in the doors that are directly ahead of me, and you go into the building, you can turn left, you'll be headed towards the cafeteria, and the gymnasium will be on the right, the office on the left. You can go straight ahead, and the library will be on the right. If you turn right, you'll be in the 8th grade wing where the 8th grade teams are located, as Mr. Sutler mentioned. Directly above those are the 7th grade wings. If you proceed through this hallway and go to the 7th grade, above that 6th grade, if you go through this hallway and to the left, you will have a big porch on the right, and that night will bring it left to the cafeteria. At this time, we'll have the release of the doves by Mr. Larry Bolger and See the camp too. Thank you for coming out.
Middle school looking down one of the hallways.
But I don't think next picture.
The prize coming with a portrait.
I already told Harry his name. Hey, Buck, where are you? How you doing?
Hi, Ken. How are you? Congratulations. Thanks.
Still got to get our mask up on the wall. This is Fifer, Ted Fifer's mother.
Welcome back.
Dr. Robinson, Superintendent of Schools, and Sam Prostwaite. Mr. Dwight Meyer, Board President. Fran I. Melvin and his wife. Richard Payton in the back. Down the hallway toward the rear end of the school. Frank and Mary Lou Wolf and Dr. Bach.
Figured it out.
From the rear entrance, looking toward the front of the school.
Need to cement this into the cornerstone.
From the rear of the second floor toward the front of the building. And Mrs. Faye Sparts.
Hello, how are you?
We're-
I'm looking here.
Go right ahead. To the school. Looking towards Center Street.